Are you ready to launch your podcast, but maybe feeling overwhelmed on where to start? Are you wondering how to create a step-by-step timeline to ensure a smooth launch? Stick around because today I'm breaking down exactly how to make that happen. Hello, and welcome back to As It Relates to Podcasting, the show where we teach you how to build, grow, and monetize your show. I'm Simona, host and founder of Volt Productions, and today we are talking about one of the most important components to your podcast launch, the launch timeline. Whether you're just starting out or you're looking to refresh your process, creating a well thought out plan and timeline can make all the difference in setting you up for success. And if you're serious about launching your podcast the quote unquote right way, I've got something really special for you. This is my podcast launch blueprint, which you can grab for absolutely free in the episode notes below. We'll talk a little bit more about it later, but I just want to mention it to you right off the bat in case you want to go and snag it as you're listening. Today, we're going to break this episode into 3 key sections. The first one is your pre-launch preparation. The second one is building momentum. And the third one is launch day and beyond. Now, if you know me and you've been here before, you know this is going to be action-packed, so let's get right into it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is your pre-launch. And this is weeks 1 to 3 before you launch. The first thing that you want to focus on is laying a solid foundation for your launch and for your podcast. And the reason why is because this is what sets you up for success for your launch and beyond. So in the first few weeks, this is what you should be doing. Number 1 is defining your podcast's concept and target audience. Before you record anything, you need to know what your podcast is about and who exactly it's for. Take time to craft that really clear podcast concept. Who are you talking to? What's the overarching theme? And what value are you delivering with your show? An action step that you can take here is writing a podcast mission statement. This is something that I completely live by within the agency with every single launch client we work with, and any of our online products, especially our online course, is crafting that mission statement. I'll give you a sneak peek at it. Answer these 3 questions and you should be able to write your mission statement with no problem. Number 1 is, who is this podcast for? Number 2 is, what will they learn? And number 3 is, why should they care? The second piece here is choosing your podcast name and solidifying your branding. The name of your podcast should resonate with your audience, but also be a reflection of everything that you already do and what you already create. You need and want it to make sense with what you already offer. But we all know that branding goes way past just the name. It's about your logo. It's about the colors you use. It's about the fonts you choose. It's about the way you put all of these assets and elements together to create the persona that people see online. It's really about creating the overall vibe for your show. Something that you can do here if you're not too sure exactly what name you want to go with is write a whole list of them out. Figure out which ones you love the most and then share them with your family and friends just to see what resonates with them. Of course, you can also bring your audience along for the ride and you can ask them to help you weigh in on the name as well. People feel so much more tied to something when they're brought along for the journey, so make sure that you are doing that in everything that you are creating for your podcast. Next, you want to start to outline your first 3 to 5 episodes. You don't have to script out everything, but you want to have a clear idea of what you're talking about. You want to have a clear idea of the messages that you're going to be sharing, the guests that you want to bring on, the points that you're trying to drive home. What will each episode focus on? And what key takeaways do you want your listener and your audience to have? An action step that you can take here is creating a list of episodes and starting to organize them based on how you would like to have them released. At this stage, it's all about setting the groundwork and solidifying your plan so that you can execute and record without a hitch. Now that you've prepped your foundation, it's time to build momentum. This is where you're going to start focusing on all of the tasks that need to happen behind the scenes so that you can bring your show to light and bring it to life and have a really excited audience. Number 1 here is recording your episodes. By now, you should have your episode list organized, know exactly what episodes you want to record or what guests you're interviewing, and start recording. Make sure that you are in a quiet place, make sure that you are somewhere where you won't be bothered, and make sure that you have all of your equipment set up and that you've tested it just to avoid those tech pitfalls. I don't want you to stress too much about perfection. I really want you to think about delivering that value, which is a word that I feel like can be so overused, but that's not here nor there. An action step for you here would be recording your intro and outro and your trailer and maybe episodes 1 and episodes 2. Number 2, set up your podcast hosting platform. This is how your podcast gets syndicated to all of the apps like Apple and Spotify, is all done through your hosting platform. Now, there are so many different hosting platforms that you can choose. What we recommend within my agency is Captivate.fm, and there is a link for you to try it out in the episode notes below. You also want to make sure that your hosting platform is easy for you to use and easy for you to navigate, but also offers you any monetization tools that you might need and any specific analytics that you might want to review. Again, which is why we recommend Captivate.fm, so please check out the link in the notes below and start your free trial there. Your action step for this part here is to get your hosting platform set up and get your trailer episode uploaded. Number 3 is starting your marketing early. It is never too early to start marketing your show. I get asked this all the time. Simona, when is the best time for me to start talking about my podcast on social media? In my opinion, it's from before you even have the idea to start it. What you want to make sure you're always doing is bringing your audience along for the ride and making them feel a part of your journey. The more you can do that, the more you can have conversations in your stories on Instagram, posts on Facebook, conversations on Threads, or even getting your LinkedIn community aligned, or also your email list are all key components to letting people know what's coming down the pipeline. Share those things like behind the scenes, and this is your action step. Sharing your behind the scenes, sharing your guest interviews, sharing any upcoming guests, and anything you're working on when it comes to the show. Don't forget to create a content calendar so you can very easily plan and follow along everything that is to do with your podcast. At this point, you should be making sure that your podcast is getting ready to go live and not having to worry about any last-minute scrambles. Okay, my friend, the moment we have all been waiting for, the third section here, which is your launch day and beyond. And this typically happens in weeks 7 to 8. This is the exciting part when your podcast finally goes live. And all of the hard work that you've put in week to week, month to month, leading up to this day is finally hitting the feed. It is live, people are listening, and people are so excited. Although you may think, oh my gosh, I've just done all of this incredible work and here we go, this is when the real work actually begins. And this is where podcasts either make it or break it. The first part here is making sure that you are executing your launch plan. On your launch day, make sure that you release those 2 to 3 episodes so that your audience can binge listen to them. Not every single episode is going to be exciting to your audience, so you want to make sure you have a variety of episodes to tap into all of those different interests. And make sure that you are announcing it everywhere. Social media, email, word of mouth, literally everywhere. Get excited about your podcast launch. If you're not excited, other people won't be excited either. Number 2 here is you also want to make sure that you are properly submitted to all of your podcast directories. Every single podcast directory has its own set of rules and process for getting submitted. So this is something you're going to want to make sure of in advance. And once the podcast goes live, you want to make sure all of those links are working properly. Number 3 is continuing to engage and continue to market. Don't stop marketing after your launch. Engage with your listeners to ask for reviews, ask for feedback, and tap into what they loved and what they want to hear more of. Continue sharing your episode quotes and reels and TikToks and videos and stories to continue that engagement, to get people excited about your show and so that they can hear different snippets of your conversations. Make sure that you are continuing your social media marketing efforts and your overall marketing efforts from launch and beyond. Remember, launching your podcast is only the beginning. It's really about the relationships that you continue to build, the episodes you continue to create, and the content that you keep putting out there so that you can really show up and tap into the people who need to hear exactly what you have to share. Stay consistent and keep engaging because that is how you will find your people and how your people will find you. So there you have it. This is how you can create a solid podcast launch timeline in just a few weeks. The key is to stay organized, stick to your schedule, but also give yourself some freedom just in case some tasks take a little bit longer than anticipated. I always love building in a little bit of white space to our launch schedules to make sure that we have a catch just in case something takes a little bit longer. As I mentioned earlier, if you want to go even further with this, I do have my podcast launch blueprint, which you can find in the episode notes below. It is completely free and it will walk you through every single part of your podcast launch process and will give you so many actionable tips to take what we're talking about today even further and ultimately give you a lot of knowledge for how you can take your concept to the airwaves. And of course, if you found this helpful today, please be sure to hit that like button, follow along, and comment below so you can catch every single episode that we put out. Thank you so much for being here today, and I will see you on the next one.